been 8 days into the new year. That's the 8th of January. I'm sure you had a wonderful, wonderful Christmas, and that the 2025 ended in praise. So, as I welcome you to 2026, I also welcome you to Beyond the Headlines. And this is our first program in the year. It's a program where we interrogate issues political, social, economic, cultural, but where we bring balanced stories to our viewers. And so today is not going to be an exception because of what is happening across the country and in particular in Rivers State. Of course, it's no longer news that the Rivers is boiling again. This time for the right or wrong reasons, depending on the divide where you are. Um, Fubara, governor of Rivers State, is facing yet another attempt of impeaching him. Of course, two had happened. In one or two occasions, the president had to intervene. There have been political solutions, but it appeared that the last one is falling apart. And just yesterday, 26 members of the House of Assembly signed a petition, and which they are now trying to investigate the governor on a lot of issues, quite a lot of issues. The allegations are quite enormous. They accused him of gross misconduct. They say he alleged reckless and unconstitutional expenditure of public funds without legislative approval, and especially violating sections 120, 121, or 122 of the 1990 Constitution as amended. They also accused him of extra budgetary spending state fund without a valid past appropriation bill. Then, of course, talking about obstruction of functions, hindering the assembly from performing its constitutional duties. They still refer to the bulldozing or the pulling down of the assembly office. They also accused him of illegal appointments. Appointed wearing commissioners and other officials without legislative training and confirmation. They talk about seizure of funds. Well, they say he allegedly withdrew salaries and allowances due to House of Assembly and Civil Service Commission. Destruction of property, of course, I've cited that. The immediate trigger was Governor Fubara's refusal to present the 2025 appropriation bill to the Wule-led assembly, which he had declared non-existent. I thought that those things may have been solved by the presidential intervention. And there's now one House of Assembly, but as it would appear now, it does seem that there's still more. And of course, let's remember that there was a Supreme Court judgment in 2025, February to be exact, that validated the 27 pro-Wike lawmakers' seats and barred financial agencies from releasing funds to the state until it complies with legislative and budgetary requirements. The list is quite on, and of course, they talk about party defection. But Fubara recently defection from the PDP to the APC has further complicated the political landscape. Those state APC leaders under Tino Kocha have maintained that the defection does not grant him immunity from these proceedings. So, what process governs an impeachment? Section 188 of the Nigerian Constitution says the Speaker has directed that the notice of allegation be served on the governor within 7 days. The governor and deputy have 2 weeks to defend themselves against the charges. But there is just a lingering news. It's not yet confirmed, but it appears the chief judge of the state, who actually has the powers to constitute the panel, they say is proceeding on 1 year leave. And to have an acting chief judge, the governor will have to do that. If both are removed, the speaker will serve as acting governor. These are issues that revolve around the rivers. But this morning we are being joined by a media scholar, a public relations consultant, a refined journalist, don't know what he said adding Chukwube to his name. I know him as Emmanuel Sinzobiu. He now calls himself Chukwube.
Yes.
Of course, PhD. He's a veteran journalist. He's based in Enugu. He's worked in Abuja. He knows the Nigerian political terrain just like the back of his hand. So, Emma, good morning and welcome to Beyond Headlines.
Good morning, Doc. Thanks for having me.
Okay, well, we just have to go shooting. From your view, from your perspective, does the ongoing political crisis in Rivers State constitute gross misconduct, as defined by by Section 188 of the 1992 Constitution, the legal threshold for impeachment? Do you think that all these I've read out constitute gross misconduct?
No, I don't think so, because you've actually concluded this discussion. You started with the background.
I've just stated the issues as they were.
Exactly. So you have concluded everything. So we know that what is happening in Rivers has nothing to do with gross misconduct. What is happening in Rivers State is political. And it has lingered ever since Fubara became governor. You see, I recall that when this matter started, I wrote an article that was widely published in many national dailies, where I actually dissected what is happening in Rivers State. And in fact, I said that every lover of democracy in Nigeria should be concerned with ongoings in that state that time, because that it could truncate our democracy. Because if we start looking at it from onset, there were issues I raised that time, and I think that those issues we are now seeing the consequences. All these rounds of impeachments, because you actually captured it in your introduction when you said that this impeachment has occurred 3 times, and it has actually occurred 3 times. The first time it occurred was when Fubara demolished the House of Assembly. I think that was the time the president intervened for the first time. And I could recall that in that article I wrote, I cited elaborately people like Robert Clark-San, who warned that it was dangerous for the president to intervene in what was happening in Rivers State that time. Like the first issue I raised, this issue of the presidential intervention. The Constitution is very clear that the Constitution, the general provision, the first schedule, the first part of it establishes the federal, the state, and the FCT in terms of the tiers of government, and it made it clear that the president is in control of the executive arm of government at the federal level, while the governors are in control at the state level. Then for FCT is manned by a minister appointed by the president. So what it means is that the person, Fubara's godfather, who from all indication, who we all know, let me not say all indication, who we all know is the mastermind of what is happening in Rivers State, is an appointee of the president. So, and that warning was issued that time, that the president should not be mediating in what is happening in the state, especially when the main characters or the main gladiators are a minister who was appointed by the president and the governor who is in charge of the state. Of course, we know that the House of Assembly, we know who they are working for. So let me not start talking about the House of Assembly. We know who is controlling them. So, and that warning was issued that time when the president intervened, and people warned that this thing could be counterproductive. Many people did not listen, and it eventually happened. And I could recall also that time there was also fears. People were warning the president that he should allow the legal process to take its course. An advice the president didn't heed and waded into that, and that the president wading into that matter culminated in the issue of the groups, that is the FCT minister and the House of Assembly, and then Fubara and some Rivers leaders on the other side, signing an agreement, and I recall at that time I also raised the issue of godfatherism. I said that one issue that has threatened our democracy from onset was this issue of godfatherism. We knew what happened during the days of Mbadinuju and Emeka, and then later Ngige and Chris Oba. Even in Enugu here, Honorable, you were once an active member of the PDP. And when you were very active, we knew what happened between Jim Nwobodo and Chimaroke Naman. So, and all this. So, we've seen the bad side of this. So, I raised these issues then, but nobody cared to listen. And not only me, so many concerned Nigerians, people who love democracy, warned that this thing could be counterproductive. Eventually, the president entered into kind of was able to engineer an agreement between all the parties, and they went back to Rivers State. Of course, we knew at a point that agreement could not stand again, and there was another attempt to impeach Fubara, and that was when Fubara, part of the first agreement was that Fubara should represent the budget before the Amehule group. They properly consider. At a time when that thing started, the house broke into two. The one led by Amehule, they were about 26 members, and about 5 or 6 members who were loyal to Fubara. And you know that along the line, Fubara appointed one of the house members as his chief of staff. So that crisis was there. I think that Fubara group was sitting in government house, because then this thing had already been demolished, the House of Assembly complex. The other people were sitting at the House of Assembly quarters conference room. And also, by the time this matter came up that second time, Fubara, then, there were certain conditions both sides were told to go and meet. Wiki at a point said that they had met their own side of it, and Fubara said he had met his own side. But when he now went to represent the budget as was directed by the president, that was when this issue of impeachment started again. Another crisis was triggered. The House members refused. They said he was not going to present. Of course, we all knew what happened along the line, a series of events that occurred and that culminated in the state of emergency in Rivers State that made Fubara to be out of office for about 6 months, and eventually another agreement was brokered, and he came back to office, and we are now back to square one again, which shows that all those warnings that were issued that time about the intervention of the president being counterproductive, that is what we are witnessing again. So,
okay, I'm going to ask one question, and that has to do with the Supreme Court.
Yes.
The Supreme Court made profound findings of breaches of the Constitution against the government.
Yes.
I'm sure you're aware of that.
Yes.
So, what is the legal weight of these findings in an ongoing impeachment process?
No, let me. I don't want to undermine the integrity of our judiciary. The Supreme Court is the highest court in the land. I don't want to go into, because, like I told you, I pointed out that at a point when that matter started, people expected that the president shouldn't intervene. We expected that the judicial process should take its course, but the president waded in, when those matters were before the Supreme Court. So, and a lot of things have happened. Even while the president was brokering the deal, things were happening in court. Even at a point, people could no longer take count of things that were happening there. So, talking about the problem that is going on in Rivers State, it is political. I don't want to delve into the legal part of it, because we know what is happening. We know what is happening in Rivers State. The House has made it very difficult for Fubara to operate as a governor in that state. They have made it very difficult.
I listened to the spokesman of the House, one Honorable George, last night on traditional television, And this issue of the minister's interference, and you say minister is their leader, but the issue of being their leader is a different thing from constitutional breaches. That you see, I just say it because they have a godfather called Wike. That when the governor makes a breach of the constitution, they should look the other side. That they are elected as an equal arm of the executive to perform their duties. That as they speak, that the governor has even accentuated by the Supreme Court and made several constitutional breaches, and that is for them to hold him to account. And so why are people bringing Wike to eat every other time? Yes, they belong to, they are loyal to Wike, but would that foreclose they are doing their constitutional elected duties? That the governor has not presented the appropriation for the budget estimate for 2026. The man asked him, but they said people asked him, he said he has not even presented it. There's no discussion on it.
Oh.
That he's working with people who are not screened and approved for him to work with. So are those Wike's doing?
Okay, but is it not an irony? You know what I said here the other time when this issue, after the first agreement was brokered by the president, that Fubara wanted to go and represent the budget to this same house that time. They locked him out. These people that are saying now you have not presented the budget. Let me tell you something. You know, I studied the document that the allegations they made against Fubara, and after studying the allegations, I laughed. You know, because to me that's the argument. What they stated, all those allegations were made. They are one-sided. Okay, for instance, the constitution, they were saying constitutional breaches, extra budgetary spending, and that the man did not present. Yes, the constitution in section 120, you know, says that at the beginning of every fiscal year, as the governor, you should prepare a budget and send to the house and lay it before the house for approval. That is the norm. That is what is done. But that same constitution, because what they are saying, they said the man is spending money from the consolidated revenue fund without approval. And that constitution, the same constitution, says that the governor, as a governor, you can spend money from that consolidated revenue fund. Assuming if you have not presented the budget, you can spend money for I think about 6 months, pending when the budget is approved, or when the budget, the entire thing takes effect. It is still in the constitution. So has that 6 months limit been exhausted by Fubara?
What of working with unapproved personnel, commissioners and things like that?
No, it all depends. You know, I don't want to start you know, saying things I don't know about, because a lot has happened on this matter since Fubara became. Fubara is the most distracted governor in Nigeria under this dispensation. Since the man came into office, these people have not allowed him to rest. We know what is happening.
Who are the people?
You know, I'm talking about the FCT minister and the House of his boys, the House of Assembly members.
Okay, but is Fubara not one of the boys of the FC minister?
No, let me tell you. You know, I
when you say his boys,
I talked about godfatherism in politics. Let us not forget, even the FCT minister himself was once somebody's boy.
yes,
And I'm sure if those people who were his godfathers tormented him to this point, he wouldn't have.
If what makes it stand still.
So you know,
he liberated himself from Amechi.
He fought Amechi, and that is why let me tell you, I think the problem we are having in Rivers State is because Fubara is not the usual or the normal Nigerian politician. You know, Nigerian politicians, they know how to handle matters. You know, Fubara is not the normal Nigerian politician. If not, it's just that because of his peaceful disposition, if he's not the kind of person who is disposed to peace, maybe Rivers would have been burning by now. You know, it would have been burning about. It is. I think that the other group, they are taking advantage of his peaceful disposition. What is happening is all politics.
Is it
Are
peaceful,
we?
is it peaceful or being weak?
No, it's not. No, I said no. It's not about being weak. It's just that he's peaceful. He doesn't want trouble in Rivers State.
Okay, let me when I talk about being weak, I don't know about you. If you had made a governor and you're governor and it's the same revenue that Wike was having when he was governor, and you're also having the same revenue, and then you have 32 honorable members, and you could only maintain 7 or 6. When you are governor, you have the same resources of rivers available to you. You couldn't broker peace that one man who had left could control 26, 27, and say it is strength. What kind of political strength is that?
Let me tell you something that, I even see what is happening in Rivers beyond Wike. I see what is happening in Rivers as an attempt by the president to make sure that he keeps Rivers State because of the importance of Rivers in national elections in Nigeria. Rivers is a very wealthy state. That is one. Look, if you had listened to Wike the other time he spoke, he was saying that Fubara is because maybe he felt he is in control of 600 billion naira, that he has the people. So which shows that Wike is worried about that money that Fubara is controlling. He knows what people can do with money during elections.
Some people have money and they don't know how to use it. No, see, you know why I said so?
Yes.
If Fubara knew how to use that money, what do you think is the reason why Wike is keeping the 27? You think they're hungry? You think it is blind loyalty?
No.
Let be factual. You think it is blind loyalty? If they can't pay their bills, they can't take care of their families, they can't do other things, you think they will be loyal?
No, it is possible that it is blind loyalty. Let me put it
Blind
this way,
loyalty.
because
On an empty stomach.
no, it is
It doesn't
possible.
happen anywhere.
No,
It doesn't happen anywhere in Nigeria.
it is possible that, because I don't see, even at times I ask myself, these House of Assembly members, are they not from Rivers State? Because if such a thing is happening in your state and you are just interested in the political side of it without thinking about development, let me tell you what you
I
are
was going to
missing.
really ask you, how does all these affect the development in Rivers State? Because it's important.
Yes.
This crisis, whether they are going to impeach, they're not going to impeach, from one crisis. In fact, one body said that in Rivers State it is, they made a reference to one novel, 1 week, 1 trouble. To say that in Rivers State it is 1 month, 1 trouble. So how does that affect the well-being and development of people of Rivers State?
No, the thing is dragging the state back. What is happening in Rivers is right in terms of development, because, okay, look at the House of Assembly members said that they got information that Fubara converted Rivers money into dollars and was busy sharing it to people in Abuja. So if, assuming this is true,
Who said that?
the House of Assembly members.
Okay.
So that money that should have been used to develop Rivers is now channeled into political patronages, But that is just one side of it. But what I'm saying, in effect, from where we started this discussion, that what the House people are doing, this current impeachment move against Tinubu, is
Against Fubara.
sorry, I said against Tinubu.
You want
Against
to impeach?
no, so against sorry,
Fubara.
against Fubara. What I'm saying is the current impeachment moves against Fubara, that it is politically motivated.
Okay.
There is nothing like talking about gross misconduct and that extra budgetary spending. We know what has been happening there in the past 29 to 30 months. So under such circumstances, when did even Fubara come back to office to even prepare but somebody who was out of office for 6 months on suspension and he returned, and you expect him to prepare the budget and submit that budget the time other governors who were in office during that period did their own. It's not possible. After taking over from the sole administrator, he needed time to look at the books, to organize his staff, to prepare the budget, and then take it to the house. So you don't. I think he came back in August or so, and they were expecting him to present the budget immediately. I know it's not possible.
No,
It's not possible.
Doc,
Yes.
you seem to have taken a stand, and then you find the members of the House of Assembly guilty of interfering with the affairs of the executive. I want to look at it from an analyst's point of view.
Yes.
If you go back to the beginning,
Yes.
You would discover that if you are going to ask me to become governor and you lay that condition, I will say no, clearly no to it. I tell you, I've had people ask me for appointment and I asked them what is it all about. They told me and I walked away. Now you know that Fubara day one was handpicked to become a governor. And the man said that was what the president looked at and said, there were conditions precedent to you becoming governor. So if you said you do those and they become governor, then you don't want to do them, then you are lying. You are not being dishonest, because if there is something you cannot do, you clearly say, look, I can't do this. My conscience won't allow me to do this. But you accepted it, took up the job, and then you reneged on virtually everything that was precedent to your becoming governor.
No, we are.
You say he's not a usual person.
We are going into another discussion.
No, I'm just saying, yeah, I don't have a political interference.
Yes.
When they said, these are the facts before us.
Yes.
From a journalist, I'm also a journalist.
Yes.
Now, these are the facts before us. These are what we agree.
Yes.
Show me the one that Fubara had done. That was why the president, said, look, go back. You guys should try and work out your things. Because now, how come that majority of the Rivers elders are with Wike? Forget about House of Assembly.
A majority of the
watch
elders, because I know that people like Peter Odili.
I said majority. I didn't say all. I said majority.
Odili is with. No, you said Rivers a majority. Odili is with.
I didn't say all. Majority.
With Fubara. Omehia. So let's know Omehia is with Fubara. Uche Secondus is with Fubara. Austin Opara is with Fubara. So if you are saying, I don't think it's really the majority. It's all this is.
You don't watch the outings.
Those who are with Wike. No, I watch their outings now. Those who are with, even Mbata, Wike's godfather, is with Fubara. So there are some people.
I think Mbata has a different issue with Wike.
Let me tell you, those people you see moving about with Wike, always doing rally with him. Those people are people who are benefiting from that crisis in Rivers State. Those people don't want the crisis to end because of what they are benefiting from the FCT minister. So that is the way I see it. It's not even a case of maybe that I have taken sides with Fubara. I'm not from Rivers State.
Okay.
I've not even met Fubara, and I've even written articles stating my position on this matter, that what is happening in Rivers State is not fair, that a governor cannot be sharing power with a minister, an appointee of the president. It has never happened anywhere before. It has never happened. That has been my point. I've been very clear on it, and I've been very clear that godfatherism is detrimental to our democracy. People who are elected into office, even if Wike handpicked Fubara, INEC declared him winner. INEC declared he was issued a certificate of return. And let me tell you, this issue of impeachment is a very dangerous thing in a democracy. Let me tell you why. It is dangerous for a governor who was supposedly elected with the votes of the entire population to be removed by 32 people or 32 people.
That's a personal requirement.
I'm saying it is very dangerous in a democracy and that is why the constitution made the process of impeachment very cumbersome to make sure that people don't abuse it.
Those people are the true representative of the people. Because let me tell you, you find from every constituency somebody speaking And the constitution envisages
Yes.
that before they do anything, they consult their people.
Yes.
They are closer to their people than the governor is to their people. Okay? And so it's not the voice of one man, it's the voice of several sections of the state that are now speaking. So that is why even in America, in every legislature, they have the powers to do what? To impeach or remove.
Yeah, but I'm saying it is an instrument in the constitution, but constitution made that the process of impeachment very, very cumbersome to make sure that people don't abuse it. This thing that is happening in Rivers State is an abuse. It is an abuse of that. Look at how many times they have done it. They did it the first time. They did it the second time, and they are doing it. They are now trivializing it.
Can I now ask you the main question of this topic? Can Fubara really be impeached?
Let me
give me the circumstances as you know it now. Can Fubara be impeached?
I will look at it. I will talk about it from two angles.
Okay.
In terms of the impeachment, the House of Assembly, that instrument is there, the process is there, and you have recounted the process of that impeachment. You recounted it here during the introduction, so they can impeach him if they are able to meet the constitutional requirement. But if we should talk about what they are doing, if we should talk about what they are doing now in Rivers, I don't think it is possible. Of course, if it is that possible, the first two occasions they did it, they should have easily removed the governor if it is like that. Because let me tell you something we should understand in this matter.
Yes.
That is very clear in this matter. What is clear in this matter is that the FCT minister wants to remove the governor. Mind you, other ministers traveled for Christmas, and in January they left. But since January, the FCT minister has been moving about in Rivers State from local government to local government, criticizing the governor, calling him a bad boy, saying that they are going to bring another person to replace him, that he should keep to the agreement between both of them. I don't know if that agreement.
That is the core matter. That's the point.
And I don't know, but let me tell you, Rivers State is beyond two people.
Theoretically, yes.
Rivers State is a state. Two people, an agreement between two people cannot decide the destiny of Rivers people.
Do you know, for example, that in every democracy, a tiny minority rules the majority? Do you know?
See, let me tell you.
Do you know in every democracy,
yes,
a tiny minority?
Yes, that iron law of oligarchy, is that what you're saying? But let me tell you, in this case we are talking, you said a tiny minority. You might be right. It happens everywhere. But let me tell you, at times certain things, that some of these theories are Western oriented.
Democracy is Western oriented.
No, let me tell you, even democracy is Western oriented, but we should also consider our peculiarities here. Where Nigeria is a developing country.
Yeah, we should live presidential system.
No, it's not as if there is anything wrong with the presidential system. The problem we have in Nigeria are the people who are the problem, are the actors. The actors. There's nothing wrong with the system, but we are talking about the players. Are they playing by the rules? Are they okay? For instance, if you are saying, how can you come out overnight and say you want to impeach the governor? The governor, assuming he has been spending outside the budget, and which the constitution permits. The constitution said 6 months, that you can spend within 6 months, spending the approval of that budget. And if the governor has been doing that, have you ever gone to engage the governor? Mr. Governor, what is holding you from coming to present the budget to the House? Have you engaged him?
I want you to hold that. I want you to hold that thought. We'll be going on a short break, but you see, before we do that, I want to let you know that the House of Assembly was not establish any concrete reason to remove anybody if they so wish. I've been in government. If they say they don't like the size of your shoe, and they muster the majority, and call it gross misconduct, you go. That's their constitutional right.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
so as an executive, all you must do is to ensure you do not do those things that will raise those concerns. Question whether they have a right. Like say whether going to should go to say there should be road here and there should be road here. It is their right. Now you can only appeal to them, okay, and talk with them. But when we come back, we're going to look at certain issues. Is there any way we can end this crisis without going through impeachment? What is the role of the National Party that they've now joined the APC in all this? And then what lessons should other states be learning on what is happening in Rivers State? And then can they manage their states so they don't go into what's happening in the rivers? So those are the things we'll be talking about when we come back. Don't go anywhere. We're back shortly.